Happy International Yoga Day. I'm so grateful we get our own holiday, you know? And it's not a fake holiday, it's a real holiday. The UN instituted it 11 years ago. So it is indeed an official day, official holiday. So as everybody starts to settle in, a couple things you'll need for today is a space to practice if you are doing the physical practice with us, a mat or a space. Um, 2 blocks can be helpful, not totally necessary, but nice to have something to sit on and a little support if you wish for your practice. I know that the Oxygen Advantage community is super international. So if you want to type in the chat where you're zooming in from, I'd love to know where all of you are meeting us from today. I'm here in South Carolina in the United States. That's where I live. Okay, Florida, not so far. Belgium, pretty far. Brazil, Austria. Oh, amazing. That's where my husband is from. Glasgow, London, Ohio, Maine, more Austria. Yay. Arizona, Finland. Wow. Dubai, amazing. Oregon, Sweden, France, Cork, Ireland, Cheshire, Belgium again, New York. Wow. I love seeing this. It makes me so happy. Texas, wonderful Canada, Saudi Arabia. Wow. So far from me. Welcome, welcome, everybody. So glad you're here. There we go. So welcome, friends. Happy International Yoga Day. As I was saying before, it is an official holiday. It's the 11th year of the International Day of Yoga, designated by the United Nations. Really a day to celebrate this physical, spiritual wellness practice and spread it throughout the world. Quick logistics thing. If you're wondering why I'm looking this way, my camera is here. I have you guys on a really big TV screen here so I can see all of your lovely faces. So if I'm looking this way, it's because I'm actually looking at you. All right, so shall we start? Shall we get going? Yeah? Okay, lovely. We're actually going to start today on our backs. So you can come to lay down with your knees bent. You can put any props just off to the side. Make sure that you're not going to hit them left and right. Come to lay down on your back. Saturday. Start in a pose of rest. And I will join you. So when you get here, let the head be heavy. Find the balls of the feet. You might take your feet a little wide, widen the heel bones out, and let the knees knock in toward one another. You could place the hands down at the belly or just off to the sides and start just taking a few moments to land, to transition into the practice today. So every International Day of Yoga has a theme. And this year's theme is yoga for one earth, one health. Really to represent how our personal wellness is connected to the planetary health as a whole. So tapping into the idea that we are a microcosm of the macrocosm, our personal nature reflects and is influenced by great nature. So as you're laying down here on your back and you're feeling the rhythm just of the natural breath, connect to the ground beneath you. Start to feel a sense of weightedness. And not one that's downtrodden or sloppy, but something that allows you to feel that connection to the ground, the earth. And if you're not near the ground, if you're in an apartment building, several floors up, still beneath you, you are being held up by the surface of the earth. So use your imagination to feel that connection, even if it's not as close to the back body as you would like. And while we're here, I'd like you to just put the tongue to the roof of the mouth. It'll help to broaden the back of the upper airway, make nasal breathing easier, and separate your upper row and lower row of teeth so that you're not clenching down on the jaw, not creating any unnecessary work in the face. And so the natural breath is soft and quiet through the nose, and really that's going to be the baseline for today. So we'll go through some manipulations of the breath to work on its functionality, improve its function. But at any time, if you want to return just to this simple, natural nasal breath, it's a great place to begin. And as you're observing the natural breath, see if you can be a little bit more intentional about the volume of the air you're letting in. So maybe you can feel the hands on the body as a sounding board to the pace and the depth of your breath. And see if you can reduce how much you're breathing just by 10%. Just shave off that top 10%. So there's not a need to fill all the way to the top, not a need to empty all the way to the base, but just filling to a satisfying top, emptying to a satisfying base. A little less than you might normally breathe at rest, but still have it be nourishing. And then if that feels comfortable, see if you can shave off another 10%. So you're just breathing at 80% of that natural breath. And you may feel the movement of the muscles of respiration reverberating down to the belly, or if you have your hands on another place in the body. Don't worry so much about the mechanics down there at the moment. Bring your awareness to the rims of the nostrils or the tip of the nose so that you can be very, very mindful about the portal between you and the rest of the world, the portal between the personal nature and the great nature. And if shaving off that 20% still feels comfortable, go for another 10% off. So you're just breathing at 70% of your capacity. So starting to work our way towards a lighter breath. It requires slowing down. It requires tuning in. And it also requires a release of expectations, being gentle with yourself, not putting too much stress to be perfect in your breathing. Some days we show up and it's just not how we want it to be. So always prioritize self-care and comfort here. Okay, and if anything I guide during today's session is not feeling good in your body, don't do it. We'll keep it going, getting a little bit lighter here. See if you can breathe at 60% of the capacity of your natural breath. So starting to bring in a much smaller amount of air into the nose. Slow and gentle breath out through the nose. Now, some of you may start to feel a little bit of air hunger. And that's really where we're going. We want to start to find this Goldilocks place where you feel slightly hungry for air, but not so much that it makes the body stressed or the mind stressed. So this feeling where, yes, I could definitely be breathing more. Maybe I would like to be breathing more, but I'm comfortable enough not to. I'm comfortable enough not to. And if you don't feel any air hunger yet, reduce the breath even a little bit more. So for this last 30 seconds or so here, you can just ride that wave. And what I love about these oxygen advantage functional breathing exercises is that they really demand a sense of presence. It's very hard to do this exercise and be somewhere else. You have to really hone into that portal once again at the nostrils. What are you letting in? What are you letting go? Tiny in, tiny out. Just for a few moments more. And all of a sudden, the rest of your day has melted away. You're right here, right now, ready to practice this amazing system we call yoga together. When it feels right to do so, you can let go of that lighter breath and invite a full breath in, reaching the arms overhead. Maybe you do a little apple picking left to right, stretching open the sides of the waist, intercostal muscles. Maybe even you can feel it down into the QL, low sides of the back. Good. And then on your next exhale, let your arms just come out to a nice cactus shape so that the elbows and the backs of the palms can rest heavy. Take your feet wide if they're not already and start to windshield wipe the knees left and right, starting to lubricate the sacroiliac joints, the place that connects the keystone of the pelvis, the sacrum, to the wing-like bones of the pelvis. And notice where your tongue is, notice what your teeth are doing. Can you still breathe in a gentle way? Maybe it's even quiet. The next time the knees come over towards the left, let them drape there. So the right inner knee is heavy towards the floor, the left outer knee is heavy towards the floor. And then dorsiflex the feet. So reach out through the ankles to protect the sides of the knees. And then make the motion like the right knee moves down towards the bottom of the mat as the right arm reaches overhead to lengthen through that psoas channel, 2 inches to the right of the belly button. This deep, deep core muscle that connects the upper body to the lower body. Let the right armpit spin in towards the heart, spin in towards the side of your face. Think about the opposition between the right kneecap and the right ring finger, pulling them apart while keeping the jaw soft. And then when you're ready to exhale, bring the right arm back to a cactus, flip the legs over to the right side, nice and slow. And just notice if this orientation of the legs feels more or less natural. We all have one side of the pelvis we dump into more, making external internal rotation seem awkward or easy. Same thing applies here. Dorsiflex the feet. Reach down through that left kneecap this time. Reach up through the left arm. Pull those 2 points apart. So think about the polarities to open up space in the middle. The left kneecap shines down towards the bottom of the mat. The left ring finger reaches up, which helps spin the left armpit towards the heart, wrapping the left shoulder blade wide. With a slow breath in, you really feel it map out across the whole left side, front of the torso. Lovely. When you're ready to exhale, left arm cactus is back to center, knees come back up. Good. Bring your legs all the way together. Good. And then bring your hands down onto the torso. One hand near the navel, one hand up towards the chest. Fan out the toes a little bit. Fan out the toes a little bit. And then heel toe your feet a comfortable distance. So not too wide, not too narrow. Find the Goldilocks. We're going to work on a little bit of diaphragmatic and core muscle activation here. So the first thing I want you to do is just exhale the breath out. So we can all meet at a similar baseline. And then when you're ready to breathe in, I want you to think about inflating from the pubic bone to your bottom hand, pubic bone to navel, and then just pause there on the inflation. And then finish it, navel to the top hand, navel to sternum. Hold full, soften the face and jaw. Now to exhale, we're going to do the same thing. Exhale like you're zipping up a pair of jeans from the pubic bone to the navel and just pause halfway, honing in the abdominal corset muscles, pausing halfway. And then finish the exhale, navel to sternum, navel to top hand. Hold empty. Feel the pressure and tension in the abdominal corset muscles, muscles of expiration. Good. And then the next inhale, pubic bone to navel. See if you can go slow to isolate and control it. And then navel to sternum. Finish it. Pacify the chest, but you'll feel air bloom east to west of the armpits. And then when you're ready to exhale, same thing, zip up that pair of jeans halfway, pubic bone to navel. Soften the jaw, don't let the pressure get up into the face. And then finish the exhale, navel to sternum, navel to the breastbone. Hold in that empty place where you can really feel those muscles of expiration knitting in. And then we'll do that one more time. Halfway, breath in. Bottom to middle. Pause, hold full, soften. And then navel to sternum. Finish it. And then exhale, pubic bone to navel. Pause halfway. Navel to sternum. Good. And then the next time you breathe in, it's all in one fell swoop, like a 360-degree breath. And then let that go through the nose. And then do that one more time. Take a full breath in, but this time can it be quiet? So you're kind of marrying the full mechanics with the lighter breath. And then let that go just as quietly. Oh, nice. All right, hug those knees into the chest. Give yourself a little rock side to side. Notice what your breath does in the transitional moments. Does the mouth hang open or can you keep it softly through the nose? And when you're ready, roll over onto your favorite side. So you can gently pick yourself up to come into a table pose, move slow, especially for those of you who practice a more rigorous vinyasa or more sweaty kind of yoga practice. I invite you today to really slow down and let the breath be the leader instead of your muscles. Okay? So for a table, let's be intentional about how we measure it up. Spin the middle fingers together to touch. When the middle fingers kiss, that gives you the perfect distance shoulder to shoulder, so that when you keep the heels of the hands where they are and spin the middle fingers back to face forward, you have a perfect alignment wrist to shoulder. And then just make sure you have right angles at the forearm and the thigh so that the wrists are under the shoulders, knees are under the hips. So you're holding weight by stacking up the body, not just muscling through it. And then plug in the tops of the feet. You'll feel those low belly muscles knit in like that first part of zipping up the jeans and that breath. Find the knuckles of the hands. Don't let everything hang back towards the heel of the hand. Take a full breath in your cow pose. So spine goes long. Think about moving the head last, tail first. And then full exhale, tail rounds, head drops last. And then do that one more time again, finding the beginning, middle, and end from the bottom to the top. So it's not just flaring out and dumping in the lower ribs or the front of the body. It's not just rounding up in the middle of the back. It's a full arc of potential. And then come to a neutral spine. We're going to get into a few breath holds here. So if you are pregnant or working with any kind of pulmonary, cardiovascular conditions, hernias, chronic high blood pressure, recent surgery, just keep going with the regular cat-cow. Otherwise, join me in a full breath in, long spine. Full breath out, round your spine, and then hold your breath empty. Hold your breath empty and move through your cat and your cow. So you're moving while you're holding your breath. You're bringing more carbon dioxide buildup into the blood, which eventually is going to tell your brain, hey, I need to take a breath in. So once you get to that point where you feel about a medium air hunger and you're ready to breathe in, just pause. Take 6 tiny breaths in and out to prolong that air hunger, that hypercapnia. Tiny breath in, tiny breath out. It should feel slightly alarming, slightly alarming. And then shift back towards a child's pose or another comfortable resting position as you find that full breath in and out of the nose. But again, full does not mean noisy. Okay, so try to keep that breath as quiet as you can, but still getting a nice satisfying breath in and out. And it really changes the whole nature of the breath when we can feel satisfied, but not have to feel so urgent and heavy with the breath. And it's a skill that comes over time, mediating the volume and the speed. Okay? So you're going to breathe here until you feel completely recovered. Okay, we don't want to come into the breath holds, which are slight stress or exercises from a place of upregulation. So when you feel calm, when you feel ready to go again, we're going to do that 2 more times. You can shift back towards your table pose, measure it out, feel really sturdy, feel really plugged into the hands and the feet. You'll take a full breath in, elongating the spine, a full breath out, rounding the spine, hold empty, and then move the spine in a wave through cat and cow, holding the breath. Only until you feel about a medium amount of air hunger. No need to go super, super intense on this one. Once you feel ready to breathe in again, you just pause in that neutral spine, 6 tiny breaths in and out. This is the hardest part if you're really doing it. Tiny in, tiny out. Tiny in, tiny out. Your body has a huge reservoir of red blood cells. You will be fine. And then you shift back towards your child's pose. letting a full nasal breath back in, trying to pay attention to the volume of your breath here. So, how can you still get the depth of breath, breathing down towards the kidney wings, filling the low back, but have it be light and gentle? And if a child's pose is just simply not a resting pose for you and it doesn't feel good in your body, you're more than welcome to sit up in any comfortable way. The idea here is that we just come back to baseline, come back to that natural nasal breath. Good. Breathing here until you feel completely recovered. And we move into one more round. Everything comes in threes. Three is the magic number. Schoolhouse Rock taught me that. Full breath in, full breath out. You guys know the drill now. Hold the breath empty, move the spine through cat and cow. So, what I like to do is I start slow, sort of like some of our other oxygen advantage exercises. And then when I start to feel the air hunger, I move a little bit quicker just to really get some extra CO2 in there. And then, really, when I feel that definite desire to breathe in, I pause and I do my best to focus on my nose, tiny in, tiny out, trusting my body is intelligent and knows what to do. Tiny in, tiny out. And then after six of those, shifting back to a resting position and letting the breath unrestricted come into the body. So really, we should be able to recover within a few breaths here. And if it takes a while for you to get back to a natural breath, you probably just held the breath a little too long. And that's okay. Just in the future, you don't need to go so hard. Very nice. Once you start to come back to a baseline, you can walk yourself up to sit in any comfortable position. Let's just do a little bit more to warm up the shoulders before we get into some down dogs. So I'm going to sit on a block. You're more than welcome to sit on anything you like. I like to elevate my hips above my knees. It just helps support my full breathing apparatus here. So if you need to sit on a pillow, a stack of blankets, a block, sit well. And you do not have to sit in Virasana like me if this does not feel good for your knees. Sit in a way that's comfortable and supports the natural curves of the spine. All right, let's take the right hand down to the ground next to us. Plug in the fingertips so it's like that ground reaction force. And then lift the left arm up. Plug into the left side of your seat and then take a little bend over towards the right. So starting to open up some of these accessory muscles of respiration. Let the right armpit, right side of your chest spin up towards the ceiling. So nothing's looking down, things are looking up. So pretty. So nice. Full breath into the left lung. Good. Come back to center. Just take a breath here in the middle. Notice the difference right and left. Good. And then left fingertips to the ground. If you're up very high, you might take another block underneath the hand. Right arm lifts. And from the right arm lifting, plug into the right side of your seat so that you always have an anchor to the yearning, right? And then a little lean over towards the left. It doesn't have to be the biggest side bend ever. Sometimes less is more, just like with our breath. Let the left side of your chest spin towards 2 o'clock. It's so nice. Right armpit spins toward the heart. Breath into the right lung. Good. Come back to center. All right, we're going to work a little bit of a breath technique while we open the shoulders here. So you can start with your arms in a cactus. Okay. On an inhale, elbows back, chest lifts. On an exhale, forearms together, body rounds. Now hold the breath as you open up into a big wide V, palms face up. And then inhale back to that cactus, chest lifts, elbows come back. Exhale, round. Hold the breath empty as you reach up, big wide V. And then in, cactus. Out, bind the book. Hold empty, big wide V for victory. So nice. Two more times. In, cactus. Out, bind the book. Hold empty, reach up. Spin the pinky fingers forward. Lift the sternum up. Plug in the feet. Plug in the seat. Last time. Cactus. Breath in. Bind the book. Breath out. Hold empty. Reach up. And then holding empty here until you feel ready to breathe in again. When you feel ready to breathe in again, Bring the palms all the way together above you so you get long, 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 long. And then when you're ready to exhale, keep all that length in the sides of the body. Just let the arms rain down so you're not losing any length or space. So nice. Roll the shoulders up and back and down. Try to keep the vision at the horizon. Don't look down. Nice. All right. Let the shoulders settle. You can come off your prop. Tuck the toes behind you, okay? And crawl the fingertips out in front of you and just bounce the buttock bones towards the heels a few times. Good. Just to open up the soles of the feet. Nice. Let the sternum come forward as you anchor back. Nice. All right. And then point the toes. Sit back to that child's pose. Arms can be by your sides, palms face up. So you're like a little egg, a little seed. We're going to work through a flow here. The goal is to breathe lightly through the nose, okay? So you can control the airflow. Don't want to provide too much air hunger to feel stressed out, but just enough to feel like you're challenging yourself. So one is a rise up, reach up, light breath in. Two is a fold, breath out, arms wide, anchor back, and then reach forward, arms come out, reach, 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 reach. Next breath in, elbows down, butt lifts, come through yourself to low or high cobra, depending on what your spine's ready for today. Tuck the toes, breath out to your downward facing dog. We'll just take an extra breath or two here to pedal out the legs. When you do this, try to let the heels drop straight from the buttock bones. Don't sway the hips side to side too much. Good. Find the knuckles of the hands. And then once you've pedaled out to a satisfying amount, lift both heels. Bend both knees so you get a good fold at the front of the hips. Press the ground away so you get more space to lengthen the outer hips up and back. Wrap the armpits in towards your heart. Good. Take a breath in. Step forward with your right foot to a lunge and just notice the breath, particularly in these transitions. Keep your back foot plugged in. Lower your left knee down really lightly. Take the hands to the low back. Try not to move back as you come forward to come up. Feel that in the left hip flexors. Reach the arms up. Light breath in. Maybe some of you are working with too much air hunger. You need to breathe more. Maybe you feel none at all. You need to breathe less. Next, exhale. Plug in the back foot. Reach forward. Get so much length. Maybe the knee fits the armpit. Yes. And then lift the back thigh. That's your breath in. On your breath out, bend the knees, step forward to fold. Breath out. Next breath in, you lift halfway, hands to shins or blocks, hips back, collarbones wide, crown of the head forward. Exhale, fold in on yourself. Bend your knees generously. Find the balls of the feet, drop the head. Next, inhale, arms sweep forward. Hinge your way all the way up. Press the ground away. Pubic bone forward. Reach up. On the exhale, come right back down where you came from. Arms wide, butt back. It's like you're diving off the diving board. The water looks so nice. Dive in, fold forward to the depths. Inhale, lift halfway, hands to shins or blocks. Exhale, fold. All right, fingertips to the ground. Step your right foot back as you inhale. Bring the knee down, come up. Hips forward, pubic bone forward, shoulders over the hips. Find that back foot. Use your exhale to plug in that back foot and lean forward to come down so you lengthen the waist, knee to armpit. Inhale, lift the back thigh. Exhale, step it back to downward facing dog. Lift the heels, bend the knees, press the ground away. Next breath in comes forward to plank pose, heels over the balls of the feet, wrists under the shoulders. Knees down on the exhale. Point the toes. Resist the pull back to child's pose. How little do you have to move your hands to get your hips to your heels? And then slide the hands back to face up. Let's do that one more time. One is a rise. Rise it up. Nice light breath in. Two is a fold. Anchor back and then reach forward. Elbows come down. Inhale to slither through low or high cobra. So nice. Anchor through the feet, crown of the head up. Tuck the toes, exhale back to down dog. Lift the heels, bend the knees, press the ground away. Right foot plugs in, left foot steps forward to the lunge. Notice the transitional breath. Right knee comes down, inhale your way up like a big sunrise. Exhale, plug in the back foot, reach forward, knee to armpit. Lift the back thigh on your inhale. Exhale, step forward to fold, drop the head. Inhale, lift halfway, long spine. Exhale, fold. How light are you breathing? Inhale, butt back, arms forward, hinge your way up to stand, open up to the day. Reach to your heights, and then exhale, fold at the waist, descend to your depths. Almost there. Inhale, lift halfway, long spine. Exhale, round, bend the knees. This time, inhale to step the right foot back. Right knee lowers down as you breathe in and reach up. If it's too much for the shoulders to reach up, you can also press the fingers down. It's another nice option. Anchor through the back foot, get longer to come down. Inhale as you lift the back leg up. Exhale as you take it back to down dog. Heels lift, knees bend. Press the ground away. Inhale, come forward to plank pose. If the spine's ready for it and you want to come through to up dog, be my guest. Just really stay in the legs. When you're ready to exhale, knees down, point the toes back to child's pose. And when you get there, just notice if your full breath in to relieve any air hunger can still be gentle, full but light. And just take a moment to wiggle left and right here. Notice how the body's responding as the breath re-nourishes you. Good. Once you feel refreshed from your child's pose, you can rise up, make your way onto your bum so the legs can come out in front of you again. Slide towards the center of the mat. And just like we began, come back down to the back. Should feel like a really welcome reprieve in the body. And so again, some of you might be used to doing much more rigorous practices than that. But notice what you can notice. Summertime actually is a time to slow down the asana practice. It's hot out if you're in the northern hemisphere. And it's really a time to ground and soothe, balance pitta dosha with big, expansive, heat relieving postures. All right. Press your feet into the ground. Move your butt over to the left. Hug the knees into the chest and take them over to the right for a supine twist. Arms can come out like a T or a cactus. Think about staying on the plumb line of your body here. So from the tail to the crown, you're still on your spit. You can kind of stick your butt out, kick through the heels a little bit to let the crown of the head rise. And then here in this twist, you're breathing into the left lung, massaging the organs of digestion. Twists are really, really nice to also help to open up the thoracic cavity, make the rib cage more flexible, help the muscles of respiration. Twists are really, really good for breathing and digestion. Breathe into that left lung one more time. And then when you're ready, come back to center, feet on the floor, hips move slightly over to the right, knees hug in like a little table, upside down table pose, and then they make their way over to the left, over to the other side. And you might notice you twist one way with more ease than another. We're all kind of like shopping carts. We either veer to the left or to the right. And then find that sense of your plumb line, lengthen the spine so there's more room to revolve around. A twist is a revolution on a spit. Like think about a old-fashioned barbershop pole. That's really what we're going for here. And then soften the jaw. Find the breath in the right lung. You might even notice the belly kind of gurgling and a little bit of digestion here in these twists. Very, very common. Notice how the natural breath might feel a sense of different kind of depth here in this orientation to gravity. And when you're ready, bring it back to center. Find the feet on the floor, center the pelvis. And then finding a resting position that you like. The knees can stay bent. They could come out like a cobbler's pose. They could reach long in a more traditional Shavasana shape. I want you to find a position that feels truly restful. And I recognize for some of you that might not be on your back. So do what you need to do to feel restful here. And so in our final resting pose, we're just working with the natural breath, and it's a nice time to compare the breath we started with to the breath we're ending with after opening up all these muscles of respiration, working with the chemistry a bit. What has changed? What is the feeling in the breath that might be different here? And as you're observing your breath, I'd like to end by reading you a poem by Donna Martin. And this is a poem my teacher, Kari, she read to me recently, and it really resonated with me. So I'd like to read it for you today. And this poem is called The Breath is Life's Teacher. The Breath is Life's Teacher by Donna Martin. Observe me, says the breath, and learn to live effortlessly in the present moment. Feel me, says the breath, and feel the ebb and flow of life. Allow me, says the breath, and I'll sustain and nourish you, filling you with energy and cleansing you of tension and fatigue. Move with me, says the breath, and I'll invite your soul to dance. Make sounds with me, and I shall teach your soul to sing. Follow me, says the breath, and I'll lead you out to the farthest reaches of the universe and inward to the deepest parts of your inner world. Notice, says the breath, that I am as valuable to you coming or going, that every part of my cycle is as necessary as another, that after I'm released, I return again and again, that even after a long pause, moments where nothing seems to happen, eventually I am there. Each time I come, says the breath, I am a gift from life, and yet you release me without regret, without suffering, without fear. Notice how you take me in, invites the breath. Is it with joy? With gratitude? Do you take me in fully? Invite me into the inner spaces of your home? Or carefully, just inside the door? What places in you am I not allowed to nourish? And notice, says the breath, how you release me. Do you hold me prisoner in closed up places in the body? Is my release resisted? Do you let me go reluctantly or easily? And are my waves of breath, of life, as gentle as a quiet sea, softly smoothing sandy stretches of yourself, or anxious, urgent, choppy waves, or the crashing tumult of a stormy sea? And can you feel me as the link between your inner and outer worlds? Feel me as life's exchange between the universe and you? The universe breathes me into you. You send me back to the universe. I am the flow of life between every single part and the whole. Your attitude to me, says the breath, is your attitude to life. Welcome me. Embrace me fully. Let me nourish you completely, then set me free. Move with me, dance with me, sing with me, sigh with me, love me, trust me. Don't try to control me. I am the breath. Life is the musician. You are the flute. And music, creativity depends on all of us. You are not the creator, nor the creation. We are all a part of this process of creativity. You, life, and me, the breath. Take a few moments to come back to your own breath, life itself in the body, and notice what can be gained by slowing down to observe it. When you feel ready, you can swish the tongue around the teeth, swallow, move the toes and the fingers. Maybe a big reach overhead or a curl of the knees into the chest is calling you. And you can let the feet ground again. And right here on your back, just take the hands to the center of the heart, either here in Anjali Mudra or stacked palm to palm over the heart. And take one breath in just for yourself. And then let it go. And let the practice go. Come back, continue to build on it. Namaste and happy International Yoga Day from me, Tiger Bai, and the rest of the Oxygen Advantage team. We're so glad you were here with us today. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. We do now have a little Q&A, so if you have any questions about either the practice we did, yoga and breath in general, please feel free to pop them in the chat or raise your hand on the Zoom, and you can unmute and ask with your voice. But thank you all so, so, so much. So Jen on YouTube asks, is it normal to feel more breathless when you're slowing your breath down? Yes. So at first, when you're beginning to improve your tolerance to carbon dioxide, one of the body's more primitive primary drives to breathe in, slowing down the breath can, it it's slowing down the exhale in particular. There's more time for that CO2 to build up in the blood. So it can feel normal to feel breathless as you lengthen out the breath. So it's a good, slowing down the breath is a good way to practice sometimes CO2 tolerance if the Bolt score is lower. But yeah, it is normal to feel that. So you can either breathe a little bit more volume with that same length, or you can shorten the length a little bit and keep it light to reduce the air hunger if it's unpleasant. And can you explain the benefits of very light breathing? Yes. So breathing light um, is going to help the body retain more carbon dioxide. Again, one of the body's primary stimuli to breathe in. And so when we have a bigger buildup of CO2 in the blood and the lungs, that is going to help the oxygen molecules that are stuck to the red blood cells be released and be freed to move into the tissues, the organs, the muscles, the glands of the body. So when we elevate CO2 with a lighter breath, we're actually sending more oxygen around to the tissues in the body. So that's really the biggest benefit, is better oxygenation for the body and the brain. Brain is the hungriest organ of all. What else? The name of the poem is The Breath is Life's Teacher by Donna Martin. I love that one. Yeah. All right. Sophie asked, do you remember the first time you really understood the breath in your own practice? Oh, that's such a lovely question. Um, it's funny because do remember, I do remember, and it actually had to do with me learning to find a comfortable way to sit. So I used to not enjoy breathing practices because I never knew how to sit comfortably for longer than 5 minutes. And so I would get kind of antsy. So once I found a way to stabilize my container, open up the container for breath, I began to have the patience and time to understand it better. So sometimes it's about creating the conditions so that the answers can come to you. But that's a lovely question. So learn to sit comfortably, learn to sit well, lots of props. In fact, when I work with beginners, I don't even really have them sit a lot to practice. I'll have them lay down because for a lot of people, it's much more comfortable. It's an easier way to have better posture when you have the truth of that 180-degree angle of the floor. Yeah, the poem, I can send the link to out on the email, I guess, if we're getting an email. I think that's right. Yeah, okay, I'll send the link. Um, what do I mean by breathing lighter? So by breathing lighter, it's kind of a combination of two factors. The first and biggest one will be lessening the volume you take in per breath, right? So I could tell you to breathe in for 3 seconds and out for 3 seconds, but you could do it like this, right? Or you could breathe in and out for 3 seconds, but it could be like this. Don't even know I'm breathing. So it's really a lot to do with the volume of your breath, the texture of the breath coming in, how much air you're letting in, as well as the speed. So breathing lighter is often accompanied with a slower breath because you have more control over that volume coming in and out. That's a good question. Okay. What's happening after the exhale? My body seems not want to inhale, not be ready yet. There is a rush or weakness that goes through my body and makes me want to shake my shoulders, sometimes even a sense of urinary release. Okay, so first of all, over time, when your CO2 tolerance rises and you're not so excitable to breathe in and out, the breath pace slows down naturally. There'll be a natural pause at the end of the exhale. It's like usually a good goal is about 2-ish seconds before needing to naturally breathe in again. Now, for some of you, when you're here practicing, because we're so focused on the breath, it could be a lot longer, and you might not feel an urge to breathe right in, and that's a good sign. The body is really efficiently oxygenated. It doesn't need like it feels to be breathing heavier. Um, Now, when we're holding the breath empty, that can if you're doing it too intensely and you're holding the breath for too long, sometimes that can trigger things in the digestive system. I've had a few clients who, when holding the breath for too long, they feel like they need to go to the bathroom. So that can be a sign like maybe it's a little too much. So just keep paying attention to it. It's a little bit of a personal question. So you're welcome to email me, Sue, and we can get into that more. What would you say about breath holds in someone with chronic fatigue syndrome, and what about someone who suffers anxiety? So we want to take it really light, okay? So we don't want to be doing big, long breath holds because they're stressor exercises, and anxiety is already a chronic state. Chronic anxiety is a chronic state of stress in some ways for the body. So we don't want to be adding on these big stressors necessarily. So what you can do are very gentle breath holds. We have a breathing recovery exercise in the Oxygen Advantage where you take a regular breath in and out, hold the breath empty for 3 to 5 seconds, breathe normally for 10 seconds, and then do that again. So every few breaths, you're just taking a little pause at the end of the exhale. So you just want to keep them really light and small to not overdo it. Um, the stressor exercises can be fatiguing if you overdo them. And if you're already having a fatigue syndrome, could really, really trigger that. Okay. I think that's all the questions in the chat, unless I missed one, or if anybody wants to raise their hand and talk to me, that's also fine. But thank you all. Great questions so far. Hmm. If there isn't anything else, going once, going twice, but you think of something later, you can always email me. My email's on the Oxygen Advantage website under the instructor catalog. Oh, but we do have a couple more. How did you get interested in breathing? Great question. So, my family's a bit untraditional, and like whereas most families, I'm sure, we're going to like the movies and baseball games and stuff like that, like my parents always took me to yoga class. So just from a very young age, I was going to yoga. And I kept practicing throughout, primary school, high school, into college. And after college, I studied nothing related to yoga in college. I studied politics. Was going to be a lawyer, but that didn't happen. Um, thank God. No offense. Um, so I through my yoga practice, I got into breathing. And during my graduate studies at Georgetown, I studied public health. I was very much interested in public health in terms of preventative medicine and practices that could prevent chronic disease and dollars spent on chronic disease in America. And so I was familiar with the Buteyko Clinic, Patrick's more clinical breathing education organization, and I reached out to him asking if there was any internships available or anything I could do. And we connected, and I eventually started doing some work for Buteyko Clinic and OA. And since then, my yoga practice has been very, very breath centric. So always kind of interested in it, but much more since I started working for this team. Yeah. Do you always incorporate breath holds during sequences? No, not always. I did for today because kind of the theme. But no, I don't always. It really depends on who I'm teaching to. And I never want anybody to feel like disempowered in my yoga class. And it's just sometimes too much for the audience that's in front of me. Um, but I will do it in like specific breathing for asana or oxygen advantage for yoga classes, just because I think it's a really nice way to warm up the respiratory tract. If I'm exhaling, I'm putting out CO2. So how possibly to have more CO2 in the body? So your body is an amazing, intelligent being, and to make ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is like the number one molecule we need to power all of our actions in the body, moving the body, everything. The byproduct of making that molecule is CO2. So as the body naturally functions to move and to process, creating that energy molecule, CO2 will build up as a byproduct in the blood and in the lungs. And so that's how it will build up, even if you're holding the breath from that natural process of making energy. Um, can I ask what the difference is in functional breathing instruction training course and breathing for yoga one? Yeah, so the breathing for yoga course will have a lot of what the functional breathing training course will have. It'll just be very yoga centric. So if you are a yogi or very interested in yoga or yoga teacher, the yoga training course is a really good one to do because you'll get all the functional breathing knowledge, but you'll also get a lot of material about applying it to yoga specifically. At least that's my understanding. um, I did not make the functional breathing course. Okay. I feel like while I know a lot of the theory and technique, I still struggle to get out of my head. Logical brain is dominant, so I try to be a good student, sometimes think rather than feel. What advice would you have for somebody like me? Yeah, that's a really great question. So just like Malcolm Gladwell says, like put in your 10,000 hours, you have to practice. Just like you want to get good at any physical movement in the body to train the mind, it's also just putting in the hours. But in terms of specific things that you can do to be more present and less logical, um, I would say if you are somebody who is musical, sometimes putting on a nice, no words piece of music can be really, really nice way to get into the rhythms of your body and kind of tune out sounds around the house that might be distracting. So if you're a musical person, putting on a really kind of flowy, groovy piece of music is nice. Being away from screens. So if you're somebody who practices yoga like online a lot, sometimes it's nice to just like shut the laptop and just be with yourself. So long as you feel comfortable in your alignment and such stuff like that. Um, yeah, or doing yoga in a place, in a physical space that inspires you and makes you feel really connected and alive. Doing yoga outdoors can be lovely, really lovely. Very kind of personal question. I think we all have things that make us feel a bit more feeling centric, less thinking centric. Um, but really, my main suggestion is just keep doing it. Keep doing it. Like one foot after the other. Keep walking the path. Um, What would be your top one gold tip for helping students breathe more diaphragmatically, especially to feel the breath deeper in the belly? Top one tip. Um, that's a great question. So I would say probably just slowing down the breath. It's really hard to get the breath lower into the body when you're breathing quickly. So if you can practice on slowing down your breath, that's going to be a way to help get it lower and slower. Um, in terms of like outside props you can use, the Oxygen Advantage sells a phenomenal product called a Buteyko belt. It's like a big, thick strap. It looks like a back brace, but it goes around your lowest ribs. And that is like my favorite tool ever. I take it when I'm traveling, when I'm driving, or just around the house. And it's this like tightish band that allows you to feel the movement of your lower ribs. And so that would be a tool I really would recommend. Or you could do it with like a resistance band, like a Pilates band or something too. But the Buteyko belts are just excellent. Yeah, so breathe slow and get some hands on the body or get a Buteyko belt, I would say. Do you integrate other types of breathing in your yoga class? Yeah, so it's seasonal for me, right? So it's summertime, so I'm not going to be doing a lot of like Kapalabhati, Bhastrika, big breathing because it's heating. I'm not going to be doing a lot of Ujjayi breathing in the summer because it's heating. So in the summer, I try to keep it really simple because it's hot out and the body just wants to cool down and let out heat. When we get more into the colder months, especially like early spring when the ground is just heavy and wet, after all the snow has melted, that's a really nice time for some of the more uplifting pranayams, Kapalabhati, Bhastrika, things like that. So it's seasonal for me, depending on what practices I bring into the class. Good question. I was under the impression that OA was a program in hypoxic apnea training to increase CO2 efficiently, although I really enjoyed the practice days. I don't really normally see it in my own studio. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so there are kind of like two branches to OA. Like one is the functional breathing, like learn to breathe light, slow, and deep through your nose well all of the time, during the day, during sleep. The other kind of branch is the more fitness or performance related side, which would be the hypercapnic, hypoxic breath training. And that's kind of the difference between some of the other bigger styles of breath work and OA is that we work with elevating levels of CO2, hypercapnia, and then lowering levels of oxygen, hypoxia, to train that, to practice feeling that feeling of air hunger, to practice working with less air so that the body can make positive adaptations to do more with less, get less fatigued, be less, having less lactic acid buildup, these kinds of things. So yes, the Oxygen Advantage very much is about that. In a class where I don't know the 100 people who are going to show up, I don't really incorporate a ton of the big stressors just because they're not safe and appropriate for everybody. And I wanted to keep today's session more accessible. But yes, we do a lot of that, and it's great. um, yes, I do a Oxygen Advantage for yoga class, which is similar to this, slightly more challenging, on Fridays at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and that is on my website, betteryoga.net. If you're going up for an audition for a fitness competition, 5 minutes before that, what would you do to center your breath? Okay, so if possible, like try to not be around a ton of people, like try to find a place that you can just be somewhat alone or at least free of some distraction. And personally, because assuming you've put in all the work to get you to compete in the fitness competition, I would just focus on slow breathing or box breathing. Box breathing can be nice because you get that breath at the top, which can keep you a little bit more focused and in the game. But yeah, I would say box breathing, triangle breathing, or just slow breathing. Probably nothing too excitable because you're about to really go in and get after it. And assuming you've done the training, you probably don't need to do a ton of warming up for the competition. Now, fitness competition is really vague, so it really would depend on the sport and how long your audition is. But I wouldn't do anything that would exhaust you before. Okay. Da, 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 da. Yes, you're welcome. All right, it's like rapid fire. I love it. Okay, if there aren't any more questions or if nobody wants to raise their hand, I think it is time to release all of you back into the wild. hopefully you take the practice with you, some part of it, and enjoy the rest of your day. And at the very least, just remember your breath is always there for you, like a good friend. So thank you all so much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiger.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tiger. Nice to see you.
Hi, Antonio. Nice to see you too. Hope you're well.
Thank you. That was great.
Oh, so glad. Nice to see you. Bye, everybody. Yes, and happy solstice. 2 holidays in one. What a great day.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you for coming.